Welcome to another episode of the Pirates Podcast, to be named later. I am Eddie Provident, coming to you all the way from Monroeville, Pennsylvania, and I've got Alex Stumpf all the way from Miami, Florida, where he is covering the Pirates' one-game winning streak.
Yeah.
Alex, let's go to you.
Yeah, 1-game winning streak. That was a good clubhouse.
Yeah?
They were blasting Bee Gees in there.
I saw that tweet, man. Yeah, hey, whatever works.
Yeah,
Whatever works.
they were feeling that one, which is
got
good
some-
because the last couple clubhouses have been pretty
Have-
brutal.
Probably those Steeler locker rooms that I was a part of. And then I left and they magically turned it around. But that's another story for another time. We've got some new faces on the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball club. Alex, we finally got to see Henry Davis. Since we recorded, not only we see Henry Davis, we saw Henry Davis hit a home run, show some spunk, try to get the team pumped up. And then today, or I guess Friday, we were recording technically on Saturday morning. Friday night, we get a Nick Gonzalez sighting, and he joins the lineup. Let's talk a little. I mean, look, I know this isn't the time to be an optimistic viewer of the Pittsburgh Pirates, but talk about these kids and what this young, this little bit of a youth infusion could bring to the lineup.
Yeah, I think this is something that we kind of expected to happen in 2023.
I mean, you and I were just screaming for at least Henry Davis literally a week ago. So
was it a week ago? Yeah, I guess it was. So he's not catching, so our screamings are still kind of but that's
baby steps. Baby steps.
Yeah, but we kind of knew coming into the year that there was going to be a stretch, probably in June, conveniently, but where we were going to start seeing these top prospects start to get called up. These guys who were first-round draft picks, and if you're willing to fudge the numbers a little bit and say that a competitive balance round A pick is a first-round draft pick, the Pirates have promoted 3 first-rounders up to the majors in the last 8 days. This is kind of with their first 3 first-round picks even. So this is kind of just what they've been building towards, what has been the big moment. And look, Henry Davis has contributed already. Nick Gonzalez, 1 game, didn't do it. I mean, Carmen Mlodzinski was thrown into the absolute fire right there, but he's shown some stuff. He could be a major league reliever. This is kind of what they've been building towards. We're starting to see it. I kind of asked Shelton, people have been waiting for this for years. Is it weird that it's come up in a 9-game losing streak, 10-game losing streak? He answered, when we feel guys are ready to come up to the big leagues, we're going to bring them. They're up because they think they are going to help the major league team win. And look, Henry Davis, one of the things that really stood out for me in that game, it didn't have impact on the final result, but in that 8th inning, he starts off, draws a walk, and he's immediately looking to the dugout, trying to, fire him up. And then he goes and he steals a base. That's something that it didn't result in a run, but you could tell, these kids can make an impact. They can spark something.
Now, okay, I want to go back to something that you said, that Derek Shelton said, that they'll bring them up when they feel they're ready. Do you buy that?
I mean, I thought Henry Davis, if he wasn't going to catch, this could have been expedited. He showed 2 weeks into the minor league season that he was so much better than AA pitching.
That's my point. And I guess where I'm coming from. Go ahead. I'll let you.
You could have put him in AAA, but I get the catcher stuff. I do genuinely believe that right now they did call him up maybe a little sooner ahead of plan than they initially thought, just because they needed a major league ready bat.
Okay.
I always thought Henry Davis was going to maybe be a post All-Star break type of promotion because they wanted him to catch. They moved that up a bit.
I guess maybe we're looking at this on the from the outside. Maybe we're looking at this differently than the organization or people on the inside are looking at it. And I guess you have a better view of the inside. But I guess here's where I'm looking. This is my thought process on this. A month ago, the Pirates were in first place in the division. and they were going toe-to-toe with the Milwaukee Brewers in the standings for first place in the division. And now you fast forward things, and they just had a 10-game losing streak, and the bottom has fallen out. Now, they're still only 5.5 games back, but they're still they've dropped down to fourth place in the division. Why not bring Henry Davis up when you're actually competitive and actually in a spot to keep fighting for the division? Why wait until, I don't want to say they're out of it, but why wait until you're basically out of it?
There's a great Futurama quote I love from season 1 where they're trying to get the space captain, Zep Brannigan, to get back to, to man the ship. They're like, "Sir, it's an emergency." And he says, "Come back whenever it's a catastrophe." And that's kind of bringing up Henry Davis and May probably would have been an emergency. They called him up in the catastrophe. And look, I do genuinely believe that this organization does view him as a catcher, that they want him to catch.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, I don't. We agree there.
And I get why it's like he needs everyday reps. I agree with that, to a certain extent. It's if you're at a point where you're like, okay, we just got to call this guy up to the majors because we need the bat, and we're going to put him in right field, and we're going to DH him, and we'll just figure it out along the way.
Mm-hmm.
If that was always on the table, that makes the June promotion look a lot worse. Like we all kind of know. We all kind of know why Henry Davis wasn't going to come up at the beginning of May or the middle of May. And we all kind of know it was a super 2 played a factor.
We don't. Yeah, I'm not wasting breath on it anymore. But we know.
To pretend that Super 2 was not at least a part, whatever percentage of it is, part of the equation is just you're just pretending at that point. But I do think him coming up now does show that they were like, we need someone to help now, and he does contribute to help on Win Friday. He should have had the big hit to win on Thursday. He had a good debut. He's shown kind of like what they needed. He does not look like he's, missing the lights, or lost to the lights here. He looks like a big leaguer, like he's been here for a couple of years already. So this is a very roundabout way of trying to answer your question of why not May. We kind of know why not May. And it was, if you could go back in time and you knew that this division was not going to get any better by this point of the season and everything, maybe you do change the trajectory a little bit of some of these guys. At least you would like to think, if you could redo it, you would do it again differently. It is what it is. And they're coming up now. And Henry Davis has shown that he contribute. Carmen Mlodzinski has shown that, at least has the faith in the manager that in this depleted bullpen, he's the guy you go to with the back up against the wall in that spot Thursday. It doesn't work out. I'll hear everyone who says it should have been David Bednar. Probably should have been David Bednar, but that's neither here nor there. Is what it is. They're calling up. This team needed improvement. Can't really do that on the trade market this time of year, so you got to go internal.
Yep.
They're doing it.
So, again, not to relitigate everything that we talked about last week, but quickly, since now Gonzalez and Davis are up, when do we see Andy Rodriguez? When do we see? Is there anyone else that you think is on the way up, and when?
I asked about Nick Gonzalez earlier this week. I kind of had like a spidey sense going for that one, so that was. And then I slept through an alarm, and you missed the breaking news, and that's just how life goes. I think we're going to see Quinn Priester sooner rather than later.
Okay.
I think Andy Rodriguez is going to come up at some point. I don't know how much of Andy Rodriguez is, what he has to show, how much of it is they have to change what's going on with the catching situation right there. But we're going to see Andy at some point. We're going to see these guys sooner rather than later. I don't think it's going to be August whenever we see Andy Rodriguez.
Okay, that's at least encouraging. Then my last one, I just want to get your thoughts on another call up this whole first segment is just the call up segment. Oswaldo Obito, the I thought his first outing was only 4 innings, but I thought he pitched well. His second outing, couple of hard hit baseballs, but he didn't. There was never a point in time in that second outing where the wheels fell off. Is he earning a right to at least stick around for a couple more weeks and stick around in that rotation for a couple more weeks? Do you think?
I think so. I mean, I'm not as high on Osvaldo Beto as I am with a lot of these guys. I don't think any prospect evaluations have him, as a top 20 or something. Some, I don't know if they even have him as top 30. But I will say that second start that he had, like, fastball was up a couple extra ticks. If whatever he wasn't pitching through a monsoon, he was attacking the
Yeah,
zone. He was pitching
yeah,
well.
that
Like,
was unfortunate how that went down with
yeah,
the
he pitched a lot better than his line. And I
yeah.
think anyone who actually watched the game
Oh
does.
yeah, without and I think that's an encouraging thing for me because we talked last week about Roanzi and just the need for arms in this pitching rotation and honestly even in the bullpen at this point. I think Oswaldo Obito could be a really good option even if he's not in the starting five. Having him in that bullpen as a long reliever. I mean, I think that right now they can't afford to send back down a dude that had 2 good outings. I think he stays personally. I don't,
Yeah, I don't think they're in a rush to get rid of him.
yeah,
To the
and they
actual
shouldn't
question,
be. And I really like. I've actually been pleasantly surprised by him.
yeah, I mean look, his ceiling. He's gonna fall somewhere between like a fifth starter to an up down guy. At the end of the day, he's not gonna be
But
this.
they can use that right now.
Yeah, especially with the starting pitching depth,
Yeah.
and he's performed at the major league level through 2 starts.
Yep.
He should get a little runway.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, talk more Pirates baseball. All right, Mr. Stumpf, I have another question for you. We put on the rose-colored glasses in the first segment because of all the young guys coming up and seeing the potential. You did hit on something that I wanted to talk about. Carmen Mlodzinski pitched an inning that I thought 100% should have been David Bednar's inning. Is that a one-off thing, or are we seeing a trend with Derek Shelton's management style where I'm not crazy about a lot of the decisions he's made recently, and that was definitely one of them. Give me your thoughts on Derek Shelton as of late, and how much of this is on him, and how much of this is just on the fact that they don't have a lot of depth in this lineup right now.
Are we looking at the bullpen or are we just in general?
All of the above, because I'll give you another
Okay.
one. I wasn't crazy about him pulling Mitch Keller when he did.
After
Uh,
107 pitches?
I would have kept him going, man.
No. 107. You're good. Pat on the back.
Okay,
Good start.
and that's where the new age pitch count thing. I mean, like if a guy's pitching good, he's pitching good, and I
There are just some numbers like I don't 100% buy into like the abuse points or whatever, but like yeah,
all
107 is
right.
a pretty
I'm
good.
not going to
You
get
can't go
in.
back up.
I'm going to let you answer the question, but I'm going to quickly counter that with: have you watched LSU lately?
Yeah, Skeens also gets a week off between starts between Mitch Keller, who only gets the 5 days rotation, and LSU shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that to a kid in general. That's borderline pitcher abuse.
I agree with that. I think they're going too far, but I think there's a middle ground in between cutting a dude at 107 and putting him out there for 150. I think there's a middle ground somewhere.
I don't think so. I think once 107, 110 is like pretty much the ultimate. No, you're good. You're good no matter what.
All right.
Unless you got like a perfect game going.
Hey, listen, you know it, but you know the arms, you know the guys better than I do, so I'll bow out. But anyways, thoughts on Derek Shelton. Back to the original question.
I'm gonna just touch on the bullpen here a little bit, and yeah, I think if he would have known that Beretta was going to struggle and leave bases loaded and nobody out, you do go to David Bednar in that situation. But Mlodzinski was getting warm beforehand. They need uh, you need 6 outs. There's no other way around it.
Mhm.
And Bednar is not going 2 innings. This isn't like last year how they used David Bednar. They've been very conscious. I don't think he has gone more than an inning,
Mhm.
for a start this year. They want to make they it's not lost on them that, for half a season he was really used hard and then he was just shut down pretty much for the second half. Yeah, outside of that September cameo. So like it's that I think really does resonate with them. They're like, okay, he's a 1 inning guy. We're gonna get one great inning. And man, he has been giving one great inning every time he goes into these games. So it's not like, this out of the blue
Yeah.
thing. So it was a case of, well, even if you use David Bednar and he gets out of that jam in the eighth, you still need 3 more outs from someone else. So what are you gonna do? Oh, you go with that. Like hindsight 2020, of course you go to David Bednar in that situation, but considering Majinski was starting to get warm before that was again emergency catastrophe. He
Yeah.
was starting to get warmed up before it
Well,
was even emergency at that point. Like
and I get what you're saying. I completely.
and I am the most analytics, friendly. Like you
It,
don't you play the leverage over just keeping the guy in the
you
ninth
just
inning.
stole the words right out of my mouth, because this is I hear high leverage situations from the Pirates organization so many times. I mean, like they've like
Yeah.
I feel like they need to copyright that term. But
Yeah.
they didn't use him in the high leverage situation, and it like that's again, and I'm not even saying that this time I agree with you on the pitching thing, where I'm not saying he should have pitched 2 innings. If you noticed when I set it up, I said he pitched an inning that should have been Bednar's, not innings. It was that eighth inning should have been Bednar's inning there. It just it threw me off. And then it now it worked out tonight, but again, like you send Luis Ortiz out for the eighth, like um, I'm not following Shelton's.
Do you know what? Do you want to know what the big thing is right now?
Yeah.
Who can he go to in that bullpen? Who are the reliable arms? Holderman's hurt. Zastrinzny's been pretty good against lefties. He's hurt. Jose Hernandez, he's been good against lefties. He's hurt. They really don't have any. Dario Moreta has been so good this year, but he's been out of wonk right now. The slider's not performing the way that it had been. It's not moving the same way that it has been. There just really is no one who is an absolute reliable hand right now other than David Bednar. And
It's a fair point.
You're in a very tough spot. Like I'll just say this. Let's say David Bednar comes in that situation and he absolutely cooks. He doesn't allow a run to score. Okay. Bottom of the order is coming up. That's great. But you're also going to be going to someone who's not a leverage reliever to try to get a save. And if any men get on base, it's the top of the order coming up. Like that's just as bad a high.
That's a good point. No, yeah,
that's just
I get it.
high. If you don't go 1, 2, 3, you're probably going to lose type situation. There was a no win there. Not having Colin Holderman, and even whenever Holderman was healthy towards the end, he wasn't 100% with the wrist, and that his results he wasn't as steady. They don't have reliable bullpen arms, and that's why you look at even he wasn't great with the Pirates this year. He hasn't been great with the Rays, but you look at something like Sam, you took the words right out of my mouth here. The Robert Stevenson trade.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't been great this year, but
that
Robert
wasn't
Stevenson
trading from a position of strength. That was
no, that was trading away from an area that you don't have a whole lot of depth for a prospect who's not really even that much of a prospect at the moment. So a former first rounder, a guy that is probably going to be like a waiver claim a couple years from now. So I really don't get that trade. I think that's the type of thing that haunts in a situation like this. I don't get that trade at all. They legally Williams. Okay, great. I get it. Still don't get the trade. It's a trade that you look back, that eighth inning yesterday is a very different game if you go to Robert Stevenson. Maybe he still gives up the home run and you lose that game.
Maybe.
But, you're not throwing a rookie in like his fourth major league outing into bases loaded, nobody out.
Yeah.
So that's you don't go to Dario Moreta to start the inning whenever he's really been great, whenever he could just go out there and throw junk and try to get out of other people's messes. That's what he does his absolute best. That is the most do or die role in the bullpen. And up until very recently, he'd been immaculate in it. He'd
Yeah.
been just absolutely outstanding. So
So
yeah, I get that they don't have a whole lot of options in the bullpen. Who are you going to? Gary De Los Santos, who's walking 6 people per nine in the minor leagues. Are you going to Ryan Barecki? Are you going to
there's just not a
Roansy
lot that,
Contreras? There's
yeah.
no one that they could really go to. So yeah, I am the analytics guy. Yeah, it should have been Bednar, but I also get why you don't go to Bednar because you know you need 3 outs somehow, some way.
Yeah, and I get it. It's just, I guess, like you said, the Stevenson trade makes this whole thing a little more puzzling, and this whole thing makes the Stevenson trade puzzling, like you said. So then, all right, to wrap this segment up, they finally kill the 10-game losing streak. As they were on a 10-game losing streak, the Reds went on a 12-game winning streak. As of Friday night, are on a 12-game winning streak. The division is completely different than it looked even 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Where is your new ceiling for this Pirates team?
I mean, ceiling, even whenever they were 20-8, I thought ceiling was 80-something wins.
Mm-hmm.
And my preseason prediction was 70-something wins.
I think you
which
had him at
they're
75 or 72, and I think I had him at 78.
I
Yeah.
think I had them at 72 and 90 preseason, which
Yeah, I
they
think I
are
was at
within
78.
arm's length on pace for right
Yeah.
now. So
Do they? All right. So, like,
look, there is a way that if the offense gets going again, and they continue to get this good starting pitching, and they just fake it through the bullpen for a month or so, and then they add a couple guys at the deadline, and O'Neal Cruz comes back, and like there is still a path to competing in this division.
I
Because
think
this Reds
this
hot streak,
division,
as
yeah,
amazing as it is, it's not going to last.
it's what the
And
Pirates were in April. It's
that's
this is
what they're doing.
this is
That's
the Reds' turn.
exactly
Yeah,
what they're doing.
and
Every team's just going to have like this. Like the Cardinals had a stretch right
yep.
there. The Brewers were just as hot as the Pirates in April. Like every team's just going to have a stretch like this.
And
it's
this is
their
the
turn,
division to be in. Yeah,
yeah. This is the division where it might honestly be whichever team gets hot at the end. Like who is the last team to actually get hot?
Yeah, for sure. The one thing that I will say, and I really, I don't want to sound like that, like North Shore, like rose-colored glasses guy, but I think the other thing with this is something that you brought up. This is a very different baseball season without all the injuries.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and we have to, that's where I think we do have to pump the brakes a little. Look, a 10-game losing streak is a 10-game losing streak. There's really not much to salvage out of a 10-game losing streak, but we do have to have a little element of grace with this team because of the injuries. And when you start naming players that they could have had in their lineup and in their bullpen and in their, it's easy to see where that's a 4 or 5 game flip,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, we got the guys who they thought were going to be starting pitchers out for the year. Brian Reynolds is on the IL. O'Neal Cruz has been out for almost all the year. The setup man's hurt right now. Like we could keep going. Like it's a bunch of injuries right now. And
before we go to the
lost.
third segment, I will say this: it is cautiously exciting for me to think about what September could be for this ball club. Even if they're not in the playoff race anymore, even if they're not in the division race anymore, I think we could see a September where O'Neal Cruz, Ke'Bryan Hayes, Nick Gonzalez, Henry Davis, Andy Rodriguez are all in the
Priester,
are all in the lineup and up on the big league team, and we could get a small taste in September of what this team could be, next year and the year after next. That is exciting for me. That as someone just as somebody who likes baseball, that's exciting to see what that young team, that young core all together could look like for a month, and then give some hope going into the next season.
Yeah, I mean that's like I said in the first segment, we kind of expected a stretch like this in June of whenever whenever the kids are getting called up, and if at the end of the year they can reach, take a little bit from their major league experience, they could, improve like that. That could be a preview of what that 2024 or 2025 Pirates teams could be, because look, a lot of these guys that are coming up this year, they think are going to be legitimate factors
Mhm.
into that next playoff team,
Yep.
whenever that is. So,
Listen, I'm really tired of us agreeing, so I am going
okay.
to end this segment and hopefully get something out in the third segment that we disagree on. Alex, we had other Pittsburgh Pirate news this week. The City Connect jerseys finally dropped. I'm trying to hold a poker face so I don't give it away, but I want yours first. What do you think of the City Connect uniforms?
They're fine.
Okay.
I think they're a little basic. I mean, like I get all the little hints and
Mm,
nods with it, and those are nice. Those are nice touches. I'm more like I would. This is the weirdest one. I would like to incorporate some red. Would have liked to incorporate some red because there's been so much red throughout Pirates jerseys in the past. I would have liked to have put 412 somewhere on it. I'm glad that it's not Steel City across. I'm glad that I'm happy that it's
really?
PGH. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. This is I know that's Pittsburgh's past. I
I
know that's
also think
Pittsburgh's
that
past. It's not really Pittsburgh's present. It's not Pittsburgh's future. So I kind of have a hard time of like it's the Steel City. I get that's Pittsburgh's public identity, but it's like it's really not anymore.
you don't want to go down to mining that, go down to the steel mills.
I can't do a Pittsburgh accent, and that you slipped into that very well,
It's yeah.
like a glove.
We'll put it this way. I hide it very well. Well, if you ask my wife, I don't hide it at all. Uh, okay, I love them. I know I'm in a minority. I know that, and I didn't even think that I would, but when I saw them on the players and it wasn't a blurry leaked photo from the background, dude, I legitimately like these uniforms, and I am like, I hate black baseball pants. I think it's partially because I grew up playing baseball on a team that had black baseball pants, and in the summer, that that material gets hot and like it's terrible. But I actually like the black pants with that gold jersey. I think that color of gold pops. I think that like gradient thing they did with the pattern, with with the river and the square and I thought that looked really. I thought that gave it a nice little touch. Um, dude, I legitimately am blown away by how much I like these uniforms. I think that they look really good. And again, I know I'm in the minority here, but
As far as I'll go is they're in the upper half. They're in the upper half of these city connects that we see.
it does seem like I mean, I know this isn't the case because these are all designed mostly at the same time, but it does seem like Nike kind of just ran out of ideas with the second half of these City Connect jerseys that have come
Mm.
out. Like it's a lot of minor like even if you look at like the Baltimore Orioles and their City Connect.
Baltimore's bad.
Yeah, but like all of the cool stuff is on the inside of the jersey. It's on the lining of the jersey. Like, why not put that pattern on the outside of the jersey instead of just going an all black jersey? Same with the Reds. The Reds are all black. Like it's a good looking. I mean, don't get me wrong. Black and red, you really it's hard to screw up black and red. But I mean, you could have got a little more creative with it. I think like maybe put like a bowl of chili, Skyline chili somewhere on it. No, I'm kidding.
No,
But
it's devil's food.
I will say, yeah, it's never. I will. Anyways, I will say this: something you said about wishing that they put some red in it. I agree with you 100%. My favorite all-time Pirates uniform was that mid '90s black jersey, the plain black jersey with Pirates with the red piping, and then the black hat with the red brim. Like that is my all-time favorite Pirates uniform. I love that uniform. I don't care that they stunk in that uniform. I absolutely love that uniform. But I think overall, my opinion, these City Connect jerseys, I thought they did well with them. Did a lot better. Maybe it's more my hopes were so low after I saw the leaks that I just anything could have impressed me. But I actually liked them. I liked them enough that I'm probably going to go down on Tuesday when they debut them with my camera and see what kind of shots I can get, assuming the weather behaves.
There we go. And I know we've brought up Eddie's photography a couple times on this show. Go check it out whenever he posts them. If he doesn't, screw him. No,
I'll make sure to keep the Pirates photos coming. Maybe I'll even throw you a couple. You and DK a few.
We'll see.
You got anything else?
I'm good, man.
Same here. For another episode of the Pirates Podcast to be named later, I'm Eddie Provident. That's Alex Stumpf. We'll see you next week, everyone.